So Mars, what na? Do you want to talk about everything and anything under the sun? Listen to our fellow Pinoy stories or just catch up? Big kwento?
Why not? Here at Mars What Na Podcast, everything is free-flowing, like the alcohol that we may or may not be drinking.
You've got your Kumars Michelle and
Bethany, here finding what makes us distinctly Pinoy, our similarities, our differences.
covering the topics about Pinoy experience from the motherland and abroad.
Catch us on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Kita Kits!
If you like this episode, please rate the podcast 5 stars, 6 and take it home. This podcast is a member of Bunk Collective.
Welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. This is the LTG Show Podcast. So, welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. And this is the MTG Show Podcast, a wrestling podcast. Ayun. So, like what I said, last week, I'm back here sa studio, sa bahay. It's my studio naman. Parang safe space ko to when it comes to wrestling. So, it's my safe space for yung mga alam nyo, sobrang na-miss ko yung bahay dito personally. Kasi mas covered lahat ng boses ko. Mas naririnig ko ng matindi yung sarili kong boses. LOL. Pero, seryoso, mas maganda mag-record dito. Mas komportable ako dito. And yung setup ko dito, mas komportable ako. Anyways, so welcome to the podcast. So, this podcast is a Bunk Collective podcast. If you don't know, we are Bunk Collective. And, yun nga. For this week's podcast, we're going to talk about, of course, WrestleMania Backlash. Definitely, we're going to talk about this. And then we're going to talk about the Spring Breakin event and yung mga releases earlier in the week from NXT. There's a lot of wrestlers who got released from their contracts sa NXT. We're going to talk about that in a bit. So, before we start this episode, sasabihin ko sa inyo na thank you sa walang sawa talaga pakikinig here on the pod. At sa lahat ng sumusuporta nakikinig at sa mga nakasama natin since the first episode and now here on our era sa punk. Syempre lahat ng experience natin nagagawa na natin. And lahat ng gusto kong gawin nagagawa ko since I came here to Punk Collective to play with you guys. So next week nga pala, before we go to our SmackDown, since we're going to predict Backlash in this first half, yung next week, magde-debut tayo ng bagong segment here on the show. That's confirmed na. And I'm going to do the logos and stuff for this weekend before the elections, I guess. I need to figure that out before the weekend ends. And lahat ng graphics for the upcoming week. Lalo na dun sa tawag dito sa debunk segment natin na umpisahan natin next week here on the podcast. So, Backlash review. Okay? So, let's start with Backlash. Total, yun ang pag-uusapan natin here on the first half of the show. Okay, let's start with Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre from SmackDown. Alam nyo, people, pre-tape nga pala ang SmackDown last week, okay? Pre-tape to kasi nag-UK tour ang WWE. and they need to fly earlier. Di sila makakaabot ng Friday night. So, hindi naman pwede Friday night tapos Saturday wala sila. Hindi ganun. Okay, so they decided to tape the episode on the Friday and Saturday makapunta sila doon para next week makapunta sila ng safe by Friday next week. Ayun, so let's talk about the Sammy Drew segment. And I can say na okay. Okay lang for me. And wala akong masyadong comments kasi I'm not that impressed on the storytelling on this whole episode, almost whole episode of SmackDown is sobrang labo. Okay, speaking of malabo, let's talk about the contract signing. So we got supposed to be a winner-take-all unification match between Randy Orton and Riddle versus the Usos. But naudlot yung segment kasi si si Roman lumabas, si Drew McIntyre lumabas, and Roman rips the contract into two. And ayun na, off na yung unification match. So in this move, wala na yung unification. It's all on the shop. wala na siya as in, hindi na siya mangyayari on WrestleMania this Sunday. Ayun, ang point ko lang dito, it makes sense kasi yung storytelling when it comes to protecting the tag titles, it's really makes sense to me na parang but pag unify mo na lahat para mawawala na yung brand split just like that. And on the perspective, hindi naman mawawala ang brand split, kundi parang gusto lang talaga nilang gawing draw pa si Roman Reigns. So that's why we got Roman on both shows, and then the Usos nakakasama, syempre, bundle yan. Tapos, ayun na nga, bundle lang yun, obviously. Tapos, move on tayo sa after nun, syempre pala, in-announce o pinropose ni Paul Heyman kay Adam Pearce na he wants a 6-tag match since hindi na nga mangyayari yun. Nag-propose na lang si Paul ng 6-man tag for this Sunday's WrestleMania Backlash, which is we're going to talk about that in a bit. And then, yun na yun. Basically, yun na yung build-up. Sobrang weak story nito. Parang they're just throwing things around doon sa matchups ng WrestleMania Backlash. And it's kinda suck. Buti na lang election day. Wala akong reason para manood. Buti na lang election no? Wala tayong reason para manood nitong WrestleMania Backlash Okay, finally, the Beat the Clock Challenge. I don't have, and wala akong business para pag-usapan natin to because it suck. And sana matapos na lang tong feud between Ronda and Charlotte. Wala akong reason para i-recap ko pa sa inyo to because this thing is shit. Man, for real, this is shit. We knowing na Charlotte will lose the title at WrestleMania Backlash. It makes sense. Finally, sana naman i-drop. Baka naman. Okay, let's go to Raw. Okay. So Raw, at least may mga magagandang stories So let's start with Damian Priest versus AJ Styles. If AJ wins, Damian Priest is banned from ringside on this Sunday's matchup. So AJ Styles defeated Damian Priest in a one-on-one match. So it means it's gonna be one-on-one at WrestleMania. So lumabas, nag-brawl yung tatlo afterwards of the matchup. And then Finn Balor saved AJ from Priest and Edge. So and afterwards, ayun nga, two sweet na sila since if in case na hindi ako nagkakamali, it's Bullet Club Day on that day. So that's why we are getting the too sweet thing. And speaking of too sweet, mamaya pag-uusapan din natin yung nangyari sa Rasag Don Taco in a bit sa ating second half probably. Then, yung yun na nga, so parang partnership na 'to. Ang hindi ko magets about this segment, bakit hindi na lang nila ginawang tag team match yung match for WrestleMania Backlash? At mas maganda siguro yun, at least. To be honest, kung ako tatanungin niyo, mas maganda siguro yun. It's kind of funny kasi sobrang nilagay nila si Balor, tapos saan niyo ilalagay yung match up? Raw? Ha? Come on. Sa Raw na naman? Putang ina yan. WWE's booking is kinda up and down, up and down, up and down, tas straight flat. Shit, come on. You know, if WWE is booking shit like this, you know, it's disaster. Alam mo yung disaster yung booking sa main roster eh. Diba? Okay, move on tayo. Doon tayo sa tag match sa ano pa ba? Ayun nga. So, may nangyari tag match between KO and I think it's Chad Gable versus sino nga ito isa? Hindi ko tanda. Sorry, hindi ako nagme-memorya eh. Ayun sila Ezekiel and who the fuck it is? Wala akong pake. Basta I think that's a tag match. Sorry if hindi ko natanda. I think Ezekiel is doing a really good job on on his run sa Raw ngayon. I think it's a really good sobrang ganda lang ng takbo niyang kanyang run so far sa WWE, And yung kanyang pagre-repackage is very very impressive so far. Yung pagre-repackage sa kanya is kinda impressive, not the best repackage na nakikita ko sa WWE, knowing WWE is doing a lot of shit when it comes to repackages. But I'm impressed kahit papaano. I'm impressed. Okay, so the main event for this week's Raw this week is a six-woman tag. So it's Asuka, Liv Morgan, and Bianca Belair versus Sonya Deville, Becky Lynch, and Rhea Ripley. I love Liv Morgan here. Definitely Liv Morgan needs the spotlight here. And yung sobrang big moment is definitely deserve yun ni Liv Morgan for sure. Sobrang laki ng ko dito, sobrang laki ng bet ko kay Liv na if Lacey Evans is not going to win the Money in the Bank, definitely Liv Morgan needs the win. O kailangan siya yung manalo ng Money in the Bank, then pwede niya talunan si Bianca or SmackDown, Anything is possible, Okay? So, yun. I love this match. And speaking of, before we move on to our predictions of WrestleMania Backlash, si Nikki ASH, she won the 24/7 championship earlier in the show. So, it's impressive, in my opinion. Then, after she lost the title same night, si Doudrop made her return on TV, and she was confronted by Doudrop on backstage, si ASH. So, sabi niya, they are ready to be serious now. So, kumbaga, ito na yun, parang i-ditch na yung gimmick ni Nikki na almost a superhero. Kasi, deep inside, kung ako si Doudrop, sasabihin ko, the gimmick, the Nikki ASH gimmick is just trash. Ayun yun yung lumalabas sa bibig ko, and I think that's what Nikki or Doudrop is trying to say to Doudrop or to Nikki ASH. So yeah, it's kind of weird, but let's see what's going to happen. Yung mga pwede pa mangyari. Then, let's go to our WrestleMania Backlash Predictions. So, basically, mangyayari to on Monday, Election Day. Kasi ako wala akong reason para manood nito personally. Dami ko nang sinabing times na I'm not going to watch this live kasi boboto tayo and we have to vote this Monday Manila time. Okay? So, ibibigay ko na yung predictions ko. Okay? So, first, let's start with Lashley and Omos match up. Okay. Definitely hindi nila papanalo ulit si Lashley. So, it has to go with Omos. And to cement their team up then with MVP. So, I think it's Omos. Omos to. Then, Happy Corbin versus Madcap Moss. I don't need na pahabain pa nila tong story sa pay-per-views. So, Madcap needs to win for this one. Then, AJ Styles versus Edge. And since Damian Priest is banned from ringside, we can safely say that AJ Styles will beat Edge in a one-on-one, I guess. Then ito, Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins 2. If they want to stretch this shit out, yun, pwede na mind games dito si Seth. So, it's a safe to say that Cody needs to be beaten by Rollins o pwede mo na siya matalo. Then, continue nila yung build-up ng feud until Hell in a Cell. Tapos, pwede na ma-insert yung isa sa kanila sa Money in the Bank. It's gonna be a really good thing to do or to book here in the company at least. So, safe to say, Rollins needs to win. Kahit man lang DQ. Kahit man lang disqualification. Okay, so the next match is RK Bro and Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns and the Usos. Ito. Okay lang sa akin na na-drop na yung yung tawag dito. Okay lang sa akin na drop na yung unification thing kasi hindi naman lahat kailangan i-unify. But RK, I don't know, but RK Bro and Drew needs the win here para lang ma-set up yung Drew versus Roman for the next event. Or maybe para ma-set din yung at least RK Bro Usos. Or maybe ganun nga. Parang i-adjust lang nila for the next pay-per-view. Yung 2 matches na to na masiset nila on this one. At least they got 2 matches build up agad in just 1 match. So, safe to say, RK Bro and Drew. If si Roman ang tatapos na laban, wala, Roman to. Roman and Usos to. Okay, finally, the only title match as of today's recording here on WrestleMania Backlash card. It's gonna be Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey in a I Quit match. Seriously, tapusin nyo na to feud. Putang ina. Tapusin nyo na to, pare. We need a new champion here. Hindi habang buhay dapat si Charlotte yung champion, pare. We need new champions here. And I think Ronda Rousey can hold the title naman na. Kahit pa paano. Hindi naman natin kayang sabihin na Ronda Rousey can be the best Raw or SmackDown champion. But definitely, as long as ma-read natin si Charlotte sa equation, it's enough na yun. No? It's enough para para lang ma-justify natin na okay, so we need new champion now. Charlotte is flopping. Charlotte is not working. So yeah, I think we need a new champion. We need a new locker room leader at least. So the safe choice here is Ronda needs to win the championship over Charlotte Flair. So let me know your predictions on Bang Collective's Discord or Bang Collective's social media o sa social media ng podcast. So we're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Spring Breakin and the NXT releases. But before talking about that, let's talk about Lazada. So today on this recording, malamang sa malamang sale na ngayon sa Lazada. So if you want to support the podcast during the 5-5 Brands Fiesta, Super Brands Fiesta, all you have to do is support the podcast by using our link on Lazada. So podlink.co/6gs. Again, that's podlink.co/6gs, or pwede nyo rin gamitin yung access doon sa akin. linktr.ee/TheMTGShowPodcast, and pwede nyo i-add to cart nyo muna yung order nyo, access nyo doon sa link, and pwede kayo makatulong here on the podcast without no extra cost to you. Alright? So, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about NXT Spring Breakin and the NXT releases. Pag-uusapan din natin mamaya yung Dynamite tsaka Wrestling Dontaku. And for now, let's check our other bunkmates here on Bunk Collective.
Picture this. Two guys talking about true crime,
Weird mysteries.
horror stories,
But the conversation is light.
and mostly funny.
and sometimes naughty.
This is Scriptsalog.
A Spotify exclusive.
I'm Gideon.
And I'm Glenn, and we're serving huge portions of horror and true crime twice a week.
We'll make sure your cravings are satisfied.
And you'll be begging for more.
Char.
Check us out.
This is Scriptsalog, available exclusively on Spotify.
Hey guys, I'm Brian,
And I'm Luigi.
and this is Bulalo Sessions.
Kwentuhang puro kasabawan.
Pero may laman.
Dito, pagchichikahan natin ang kung ano-anong ganap natin sa buhay.
Pwedeng love life, kawalan ng love life,
Madalas sex, or reklamo sa trabaho.
at marami pang iba.
So, kung gusto nyo makarelate sa kasabawan,
Or bored lang talaga kayo sa buhay.
pakinggan nyo kami sa Bulala Sessions.
Wednesdays at 8 p.m.
Kita-kits!
Okay. So, welcome back to the show. So, let's talk about Spring Breakin. Spring Breakin. NXT. So, let's start with the basics here. So, this is a special episode of NXT, not a pay-per-view. Okay? So, we got some interesting stories na something din naman na hindi. Okay, so let's talk about the event itself, okay? So I love the North American title match. Definitely a match of the week candidate here on the podcast. Tatanungin niyo ako, sobrang qualified tong match na to. Sa kahit anong qualification, match of the year, match of the night. Definitely, sobrang ganda na tong North American title, Solo Sikoa, Cameron Grimes, and yung si Carmelo Hayes. Sobrang ganda ng chemistry nilang tatlo when it comes to wrestling. And I love it. I love every second of this match. Kasi parang ano lang sobrang parang ang ganda lang ng laban na to Sobrang impressed ako on how they booked on this matchup. It's really impressive. Okay. Then, let's talk about the debut of Nathan Frazer. So, Nathan Frazer defeated Grayson Waller in his very first match in NXT 2.0. Okay. At least they're building Grayson Waller for the better. And I hope na dapat at this point siya na yung lumalaban sa NXT Championship. Or maybe pwede niyang talunin si Braun, ha? And parang ang style pa ng run ni Braun na to as second reign as champion. Parang ang dating sa akin ang style ng kanyang NXT run. Okay? Tapos, magtataka pa ba kayo kung bakit ganyan? Kopo. I love Grayson Waller, okay? But it's really hindi ko pa ma-digest yung kanyang gimmick. Okay? Hindi ko pa ma-digest yung gimmick niya. Nakala mo psychopath na bitch na TikToker pam-pam sa social media, ganyan. Hindi ko pa ma-digest yung gimmick niya. Maybe soon pagka matitake ko na siya seriously. It's not my thing, guys. Kung kayo nasa seryoso yung ganyang gimmick, ako hindi. Pasensya na. Then, next, let's talk about Tony D'Angelo and Santos Escobar. Walang face turns dito, walang heel turns. So, nag-truce silang dalawa one-on-one sa... And then, parang parang mafia thing to eh. I love mafia stuff, okay? Except mafia in the morning. If you're listening to this, Yuki, no offense. Kasi, I know Yuki loves Ichi. And, sorry, let's go back to wrestling. Kasi dito, Kingdom Podcast. If you want to listen on some K-pop pod, listen to Kingdom Podcast. Let's go back. It's really embarrassing. We're getting... I love Santos, man. To be clear with everyone, I love Santos Escobar. His gimmick is so good. Pang main roster na to. Kung tutusin niya, pang main roster na tong type of gimmick niya. Pero, nai-use pa rin siya sa NXT. Which is great. Akala ko nga ito yung mapopromote sa NXT. Akala ko siya yung isa sa mga dapat i-promote ng NXT. But, hindi pa siya pinopromote. So, it's kinda sad for me na hindi niya pa nakukuha yung NXT Rob. Yung main roster promotion. It's kinda sad for me. Ako lang ba yung nalulungkot na wala pa sa main roster si Santos? Tapos si LA Knight na naunahan pa ni Grace, ni putang ina to, ni Santos. Sa main roster na eh. But okay, regardless, I love the story in this one. Sana maganda yung kalabasan. Sana maganda yung turnout. No? Sana maganda yung maging turnout nitong story ni Santos at ni tawag dito. Santos at saka ni Tony D. Okay. So, move on. So, magkakaroon ng NXT Women's Breakout Tournament starting next week. Ako dito sa podcast, we're not going to talk about this for now. Probably, ititiktok ko na lang pag kompleto na yung participants for this year's breakout. Siguro ititiktok ko na lang pag kompleto na yung participants. Kasi hindi ko kayang mag-predict o mag-pod o magganito if hindi pa kompleto yung lineup. Na, siguro it's a 8-man tournament, malamang naman 8-woman tournament na hindi pa naman kompleto as of now, kaya definitely di pa natin kailangan i-talk. Okay? Then, let's talk about the tag match here. It's Cora Jade and Nikita Lyons versus Natalia and Lash Legend. Like what I said last week, sobrang over ni Nikita Lyons, putang ina. Sobrang over niya pa din until now. So, the question here is, nahahanap na ba natin yung future NXT Women's Champion in Nikita Lyons? When it comes to popularity, we got the best woman. We got the best woman right now in NXT. Wala na akong pakialam kung magpapasexy lang yan o kung ganyan ang gimmick niya. Eh, ang important dito, sobrang lakas ng hatak niya eh. Aside tawag dito, kina Roxanne Perez and kay Cora Jade. But regardless, ang lakas ng hatak ni Nikita eh. So, nakikita ko siya na yung pwede makadethrone kay Mandy in the near future, I guess. And malaking factor siya sa NXT ngayon. Kaya marami nanonood. Dahil na rin sa papinpin niya na. Yung sa pagpin niya naka-split, ganyan. Na. So, it's really weird to my eyes, but mas sanay din kayo dyan. Alright? Then, let's talk about the Viking Raiders and the Creed Brothers. Man, sobrang lungkot ko na they release Malcolm Bivens. Sobrang nakakalungkot. Hindi kompleto yung Diamond Mine without him. To be honest. And I love the match. It's a not bad match for me. Hindi siya pangit, di rin maganda. So, siguro saktuan lang. Parang andun tayo sa middle part of the scale na we can say that this match is not bad. And not the best but not the baddest match of the Spring Breakin. And yeah. Then, finally, the main event. Braun Breaker versus Joe Gacy. Man, sobrang dali ng pag-build up nila sa shit na to. Sobrang pangit tuloy ng product. Sobrang naging pangit tuloy yung result. Sobrang random. Sobrang ano tawag dito? Proper term. Sobrang minadali pa yung laban. Sobrang napangitan ako sa kinalabasan. And I'm glad na may pabitin pa. May susunod pang mangyayari. So, kumbaga, ano lang yun, formality lang yun. May kasunod pa. And I'm glad na may kasunod pa. Pero sana ayusin nyo muna yung build up. Hindi yung ganyan, ang putang ang pangit tuloy ng kinalabasan. Sobrang pangit tuloy nung match nila Braun at saka ni Joe Gacy. And ayun, yun lang. Yun lang for me sa NXT. Let's talk about the NXT releases really quick. So, there's a lot of releases na breaking ko na to nung Friday sa TikTok. So, sa malamang yung iba dyan na alam nyo na kung ano yung nangyari on that Friday. So, we got some talents who got released. So, it's Dakota Kai. May proper off naman to last week. Natalo siya ni Mandy. Makes sense. Then, sino ba to? Si Malcolm Bivens, si Persia Perota, si Harland, aka, yung kasama ni Joe Gacy, ni-release din. And other many wrestlers who got released from NXT. So, malamang kailangan nyo nasanayan to. Kasi, they need to reduce the talents din naman as well. Kakakuha nila ng talents. So, the Dakota Kai here, I think hindi na talaga siya nag-resign with WWE as far as I know. And she wants to leave the company. Which is great for me. Which is great. I hope I can see her soon. AEW or Impact with wait lang, sino nga ito isa? Di ko tanda si Dakota Kai. I forgot her fucking name. Si Tegan Knox. Okay. Then si Malcolm Bivens. Ang alam ko kasi hindi na talaga siya nag-sign with the E. So kumbaga formality release na lang to. So thank you. Miss kita sa NXT. Sana makita kita ulit soon sa I think AEW kaya Impact sana. Impact is improving at least Impact is improving. No. And basically yun lang. Yun lang naman for this second half of the show. So next week mukhang dito ko na idalagay yung segment natin na debunked episode. So, if you want to listen on the podcast with debunked, so, listen to it. Dito natin dalagay sa version na to, sa portion na to ng episode. So, yeah. Yun lang. So, let's plug some shit before we go to our next commercial break. Ayun. So, on this day, syempre, the day na we're going to release this episode, malamang sale pa rin po sa Shopee, syempre. So, there's a 5/5 Brands Festival sale right now on Shopee. If you want to support the podcast on Shopee, please use my link, podlink.co/BHX. Again, that's podlink.co/BHX. Or you can use my link TR. Again, that's linktr.ee/TheMTGShowPodcast. Malaking bagay yan here on the podcast without no extra cost. Okay? So, we're going to take our second commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Dynamite, yung ating New Japan Wrestle Taku episode, portion of the episode, and our picks of the week here on the podcast. So, for now, let's check our other bunk mates. here on Bunk Collective.
Hey everyone, this is Mo Twister, and you're listening to the Kingdom Podcast with the voice DJ Yuki.
That was the OG, Mo Twister, promoting this podcast. If you like Korean pop culture, or know someone who does, then get into it, and visit our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram pages at the Kingdom Pod PH.
We're proud to tell you that this is one of the premier shows to go to for your weekly dose of K-pop. So drop everything and listen to the Kingdom Podcast. Available in all your podcast streaming platforms.
Join us! Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
I can't. I'm sick.
Weh, yung tataa.
Boo, you whore.
Lockdown pa rin.
Huh? 2021 na.
So, anong gagawin natin?
Di, magstay na lang sa house at makinig sa Cha-Astrology, the podcast. With new episodes every Tuesday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts.
Okay, so we're back on the podcast. Okay, so oh fuck, come on. Okay. Ulit nga natin. So, okay, we're back on the podcast. So, yeah. We're done with WWE. Let's talk about AEW now. So, first, we got W. Morrissey, who made his AEW debut earlier on Dynamite. So, yeah, he was defeated by Wardlow. That's the only intention naman of this appearance. So, technically, hindi umalis si Morrissey sa Impact. So, yeah, it's plus. Hindi naman siya umalis sa Impact as far as I know. He appeared on this episode lang to be Wardlow's opponent for that episode. Then, next week, i-announce na ni MJF yung kanyang agreement with Wardlow. Kumbaga, kailangan daw muna na magkaroon muna ng agreement, something like that. Yung kumbaga, kailangan masisintak ka muna bago ka. Okay. So, yun. Okay lang para sa akin. So, may agreement na pag-uusapan on next week's Dynamite. So, yeah. Kailangan natin abangan yun. So, then, let's talk about Adam Page. So, Adam Page made a promo. So, wala si Adam Page last week on Dynamite. Kasi, because of the COVID protocols. Okay? So, wala siya sa arena last week. And, yeah. And I love the promo here. To clarify, hindi to heel turn or something like that. Hindi siya heel turn. Hindi ko kayang sabihin na this is a heel turn. Kumbaga, this is just a build. Kumbaga, para masabi natin na face versus heel pa din yung Punk versus Adam Page. Double or nothing. Kung may mag-return nga sa kanila, mas gusto ko si Punk to be honest. Mas gusto ko na si Punk yung mag-earn kasi si Adam Page is a babyface, solid babyface. Pero, you can lean on that naman then your picture. Si Punk kasi sobrang popular dagdag natin. So, maybe pag nag-turn siya, it's really suck for the fans. Okay, and then the bracketing. Okay, so let's talk about the Owen Cup bracketing here. So, nakompleto na yung participants for the Owen Cup. So, kumbaga yung mga matches in the past few days. Parang ano na lang to parang naging first round matches na to and then meron tayong 4 matches for starting next week I think on Rampage as far as I know or Dynamite next week. So, we got the final participants here. So, Rey Fenix, Kyle O'Reilly, Samoa Joe, there's a Joker, may explain natin. Then, Jeff Hardy, Darby Allin, Adam Cole, and Dax Harwood. Okay. So, if you're wondering why there's only 7, no? So, may Joker dyan. May Joker dyan, ibig sabihin, i-reveal na lang yan sa mismo laban. Kung ako tatanungin nyo, who is going to be the Joker here? Gusto ko si Saro si Claudio. O kaya si Johnny Gargano. O kaya si Jay White, pwede rin si Jay White actually, pero malabo. Pero safe to say si Claudio. Kaso yung kailangan natin for tao ba dito? Ang kailangan natin sa Joker na to, yung mandanalo eh. And Claudio is not that man eh. Kaya mo bang inutila? Ganyan. I think yung Joker, kailangan yung mananalo eh. It's just my take. Pero maybe man laman yung next week on magiging take ko if ma-official na yung matchup o mangyayari na yung matchup for the Owen Cup next week. Okay? So I'm not going to give any comments at that. Then, let's go on to the main event of this week's Dynamite. So it's Deonna Purrazzo versus Mercedes Martinez in a unification match for the undisputed Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. So, here's the formality fact here. Deonna definitely lost the belts because number one, Deonna is part of Impact, not Ring of Honor. Okay? So, it makes sense na idadrop siya sa isang AEW show, sa isang Ring of Honor talent in Mercedes Martinez. So, regardless to the match naman, not bad. Not bad. I'm not going to say it's great. Sobrang lang. Pwede na. But I'm not going to say it's the best match for me. But definitely, parang alam mo, we can say na we love the match-up. Kumbaga, ito yung parang match-up the night ko. Ito yung tingin ko match-up the night ko Pero I'm not going to say it's the best or the worst match-up the night. Siguro ito lang yung gusto kong match on this whole night. I love the Jeff Hardy match as well and the sino nga kalaban nito? Si Bobby Fish. Ayun, I love this match as well. As far as I know. Yun. So, let's talk about Wrestle Dontaku. So, there's some title changes there. We're going to recap here on this third half of the show. So, we got the anniversary celebration of Bullet Club. So, Josh Robinson is now part of Bullet Club. After fighting Jay White, the leader, last year on Impact Wrestling, then you're going to join the stable? Pag-isip natin. Papaisip ako, to be honest. And then, ayun, so, Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens is your new IWGP Tag Titles or Tag Title Holders, Tag Team Champions. So, and then, so, Tama Tonga defeated Evil for the never openweight title. So, expected na to. Expected na to. Okay. Then, so, si Tanahashi, he defeated Tomohiro Ishii for the vacant United States title, IWGP US title. So, the story here is si Sanada, binigyan yung title dahil sa injury. So, he had to relinquish the belt. And then, yun na nga. So, we get the match up between Tanahashi and Ishii for the Dontaku. Okay? Then, so in the main event of Dontaku, Tsuchika Okada defeated Jay White today. That's when Naito in the main event, sobrang classic ito laban at I can say not the best match of their feud or their series, but definitely a great match to cap off the night. And then afterwards, so Jay White made his comeback to Japan and he assaulted Okada from behind as expected, and he gave him a lot of blade runners, and they ended the pay-per-view raising up the title. Then yun. So basically, that's it for this week's podcast. So let's do picks of the week, okay? So picks of the week last week is Scorpio Sky. The woman of the week is Nikita Lyons because I'm so impressed with her performance last week. And the match of the week, if you want to watch a match from last 2 week, definitely Okada and Naito from Wrestling Dontaku. It's a really good pay-per-view, okay? So, yun. That's it for this week's episode of the podcast. If you want to see the newest segment of the podcast, Debunked segment, Debunked will debut next week on the MTG Show podcast. The second half of the episode will be devoted to Debunked segment. Then, if you want to support the podcast on social media, you can follow the podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and on TikTok at the MTG Show Podcast. And you can follow and rate the podcast 5 stars and 6 in Tokyo Dome in on your favorite podcast platform. So it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and the rest of the podcast platforms. You can support the podcast as well by listening to our podcast app, which is available on Google Play Store. Here on Bunk Collective, you can support the Bunk Mates and all of the Bunk Collective shows by following us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Bunk PH. And you can visit our website, thebunkph.com. Also, you can support the Patreon of Bunk Collective, the Bunk PH as well on Patreon and on coffee.com/the Bunk Collective, the Bunk PH. And so Patreon here on the podcast as well, the MTG Show Pod. And then on social media, you can follow me on social media at AG Penera on Twitter and Instagram. So that's it for our episode this week. So stay safe, stay reso. Baka naman. Ito na po ang ating araw. Like what I said in the past episodes, hindi ako open tayo sa lahat, no. Pero like what I said, tandaan niyo po, kulay rosas po ang bukas. Let's vote for next Monday bago manood ng WrestleMania Backlash. Tandaan niyo palagi, kulay rosas po ang bukas. Let's vote for Lenny Robredo and Kiko Pangilinan for Vice President. And stay safe, stay reso. Have a good elections. Have a great day. And see you later. This is the MTA Show Podcast by Bunk Collective. Thank you. We're good.
If you like this episode, please rate the podcast 5 stars 6 in Tokyo Dome. This podcast is a member of Bunk Collective.